and get in one of our good friends, Dad, Joe Stevens. Dad, did you know Joe is a judge now?
Oh, I knew all about it. I was with Joe several years ago out in Houston. He took me to eat.
Yeah, he told me.
I think he picked up the bill.
Yeah, he told me he took you to a fine steakhouse and you never went in your pocket. So, good morning, Joe. How you doing?
Joe.
Good morning, gentlemen. It's so good to hear y'all's voices, man. I'm honored to be on the show this morning.
Well, I want you to tell the listeners that in coaching you, that I never did fuss.
I plead the fifth on that one, Coach. But I will say that Coach had a way of cursing you out, and it made you like it.
Yeah. Well, and yeah.
You'd run through a brick wall for him. He's a master motivator. He was a father, a coach, and a mentor to us all. And I can't even begin to name the tree of guys that have gone on to success in sports and out of sports that came from Wimp's coaching.
I appreciate that. I didn't expect that, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, Joe, give a little update with Joe. Joe started at Colorado, transferred to Arkansas, Little Rock, where I was an assistant coach. Joe transferred over there. Our head coach got let go. Dad came in, coached Joe, I guess 2 years. Played with Derek Fisher.
Scott sent him over, helped send him over, I guess.
Well, yeah, I had to work around Scott though. Anyway, we got Joe over there. Ended up playing with the Houston Rockets. Lives in Houston. Joe, I want to talk about your daughter first. Tell us about Allie. I know you guys were over at the Masters. How old is she now? She was in the pitch and putt there in the Masters, what you have to qualify for. I see all your video out there, man. You got to be a proud dad watching her strike that golf ball. Tell us a little bit about her situation.
Yeah.
Man, very proud. It's ironic you bring that up because one of your commercials was saying something about azaleas. And every time I hear azaleas, man, I get excited because I think about Augusta National. She's 13 years old. She's a golfer here in Houston, and she made it to the drive, chip, and putt national finals. Your listeners will probably remember us because they aired about an 8-minute special about us all throughout the event. We were the family that flooded in Houston, and despite us flooding, she still made it to the finals. She's a great kid first and foremost, but she's really a prodigy in terms of golf. She's matter of fact, we went out and played yesterday, and she shot 3 under on the front nine from the men's tees here at Golf Club of Houston, home of the Shell Houston Open here in Houston. But man, she's taken what I've taught her. A lot of what I've learned from Coach Sanderson is, if you come early and you leave late, it can only turn out one way for you, and she does that, man. We work at it. Had I worked as hard at basketball as she did at golf, I probably would have been a little bit better player for Coach.
Yeah,
you're a very good player.
She so tell us what's the track with her? I mean, was she where is she ranked? Is she ranked in the United States?
She's just starting to play in AJGA tournaments where you can become ranked. So I'd give it, a summer or two. I think last summer we tried to qualify at 12 years old for the U.S. Girls Junior Amateur. She shot 77 on a 6,300-yard course at 12 years old and missed it by 3 strokes. So this summer we're slated to try to qualify for the U.S. Open, the Girls Junior Am, and there's one more I'm forgetting. I think it's a junior match play championship or something. But we're going to Pinehurst this summer for the World Championship. We'll be in San Diego and just competing, man. That's all we know how to do is we're going to tee it up and give it our best. And she's a fighter, man. And at the end of the day, she uses all the work ethic that I've learned from all the great coaches I've played for, and she applies it, man, and it's paying off for her.
Yep.
Joe, I don't know if you know this or not, but the U.S. Open for the women is in Birmingham this year.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it is in May, and it is about a mile and a half from my house.
Well, thank you for the invite. We'll gladly stay with you.
Yeah, you can stay. I got the whole upstairs. You can stay with me, no problem. But it's about a mile and a half from my house. It's a big deal. It's Shoal Creek, and it will be. I forget the dates on it, Joe, but
Coach,
I may volunteer.
Down and
They
watch
asked
me, and I would love to come down and watch it. And
they asked me to volunteer, and I told them I'd volunteer to do anything I could except walk. And I'm not gonna walk, but I wanted you to know that we'll get back in touch with each other.
Thank you so much. You know, the funny part about this was so I took my dad. Well, she took us all to the Masters. You know, that when you go to that drive, chip, and putt national finals, the Masters Committee, the PGA of America, and the USGA do a fantastic job. They fly all of those kids out there, and us parents get to tag along too for free. So I took another additional 5 people with us. So we had 8 people at Augusta National, all who are avid golfers. And we're super excited. We're going to walk all 18 holes, tee box to green, and you don't get to see the undulations of Augusta National on TV. By the time we got to number 9, I think my dad probably needed an oxygen mask. I was cramping. You know, it's a sight to behold. And by the time we got to 10, we're like, look, let's just cut across the amen corner and take a picture and come back and rest.
Yeah, we're talking. Go ahead, Dad. Go ahead.
We don't want to get into the Jalen Hurts thing with you at all, but I know that you're close to the family, know his dad very well, whatever. And it's I don't know a controversy, but it's the talk of course, the state of Alabama. I don't know what comments you want to make. You may want to talk about the family.
I just talked to Todd, Coach Hurts, who's a fantastic coach here in the Houston area. I was actually, and I didn't even know this, in talking to him, I was actually in the restaurant the day he was doing that interview. I was there with one of our congressmen having lunch, and I walked by Todd, and he and this guy were sitting in a booth for over an hour just talking. And I thought it was him interviewing a guy that he was going to hire for one of his assistant coaches at his high school. He told me that was the guy actually doing the interview. One thing I can say about Jalen, first and foremost, Jalen is a fantastic kid. His family is a rare breed. He comes from very good stock. I think I read the article finally. I read it. I think a lot of what was said was taken way out of context. I think you probably had a bit of an overzealous reporter trying to make headlines, which he did. But that family is completely not the kind of family that would try to influence Coach Saban's decision any way, shape, form, or fashion. Jalen's not the kind of kid that runs from anything, certainly not competition. They understand that when you go to a school like Alabama, you're going to compete every year. There's nothing given at that school. So when you make a decision to go there, you kind of understand that. I fully anticipate Jalen will compete for that job, and may the best man win. And if he doesn't win the job, he's from the kind of family that will support. I think as you saw in the national championship game in the second half, he's over there rooting for Tua just as hard as anybody on the sideline, and that's genuine. That's not an act. That's what he comes from. In talking to his dad, I think he's slated to even graduate in December. I mean, how many athletes, coach, have we seen graduate ahead of time? So, I think a lot of what was said was taken way out of context. So I would tell the listeners in Alabama that they're not even those kind of people. And I'm not trying to do damage control. I don't have a dog in this fight other than seeing a kid succeed. And I shouldn't admit this, but I'm an Alabama fan. So I root for the Crimson Tide. So I want nothing but success for that program and both kids involved. I would encourage the listeners to remember that these are kids that you're talking about. They're not professional athletes. They're not paid. They're fragile in terms of development. So, I just say root for these kids. Parents will stay out of it and allow it to play out on the field.
Yeah, one of the things that was said in the article, you and I have been around coaches. We've been around guys that can give you honest, tough talk, tough love. When he said, hey, Jalen put himself in that situation by not playing well. He opened the door. And Joe, you've played with guys that maybe the guy behind you, he may be a little bit better, but coaches go with what they know. They go with experience and guys that they know they can trust. And if you ever open the door and you let that guy behind you slide in, then you got nobody to blame but yourself. And I think that's what Jalen's dad said. Hey, he put himself in this situation. Had he played better, we wouldn't be. So that to me is taking responsibility, being a man. Hey, he put himself in this situation, and he's got to dig himself out.
And that's who they are. That comment was more indicative of Todd Hurts than the free agent comment. I can probably only share a couple of what I call wimpisms that Coach used to say. But one thing that stands out very clear in my mind from Wimp Sanderson, one day we were in practice in Little Rock, and he stops practice. I think we may have a couple of parents in the stands, and he says, I got a real bad habit of playing my best players.
Yes.
I got a real bad habit of playing my best players. You know, these guys, coaches are paid to win. I mean, let's be frank. So they don't do favors in college. The best guy is going to play, the guy that gives the team the best opportunity to win. I think Saban had a gut feeling in the championship game. He made the call, and it turned out good for him. You can't argue with that. All you can do is suit up every day, give your best, and if your best isn't good enough, then, you know, you live with the consequences. But at the end of the day, when you go to a school like Alabama, you're going to compete for a national championship each and every year. I've never played in a national championship game, didn't even come close. So I'd give good money now to have a ring or a championship. So, you know, that's what you sign up for when you go to a school as good as Alabama.
Yeah, Joe, I know you got to get out of there, but I want to ask you, NBA wise, I know you're right there with Houston. Can the Houston Rockets, with Chris Paul, who I think dribbles too much, and James Harden, it seems like every time they get to the cusp, then James Harden flames out. Is this the year they could win it all?
You know, I'm a homer all the time, and I don't like what I see right now. I think when it comes to the playoffs, you know, the best team is always going to win a 7-game series, and you've got Golden State in the West. Golden State's defense at times is smothering. It's stifling. I've seen teams not even be able to get a shot off. And it also comes down to coaching, which, let me say this, you guys have a terrific coach in Avery Johnson. Avery was one of my mentors my first year in the league when I left Little Rock. He was one of the first NBA guys to take me under his wing, you know, kind of as a big brother, man. Hey, we're working out over here today if you want to come to Sugar Land and work out with us. And I did that for a year. But that's the kind of guy Avery Johnson is. But I just think that it comes down to defense and coaching in the playoffs. D'Antoni is a fantastic offensive coach, but he's got a little bit to be desired on the defensive end as a coach. And I see that catching up with us when it comes to that final round of the playoffs, should the Rockets make it that far. So I'm going with Golden State coming out of the West.
Dad, anything else for Joe?
We'll keep in touch with each other, Joe. I'll the dates, you can look it up. The dates, I forget what they are, and I've got. In fact, I visited with the head guy once and said something about me doing something. So we'll stay in touch on that. And congratulations to what you've done, and congratulations to your daughter, and thank you for the nice, kind words you said.
You know, Joe sounds all level-headed. But now this guy, you follow him on social media, and when the Houston Texans start getting that head beat, he goes to being a fan real fast. My goodness!
I can't help myself, man. But let me say this. Before I leave, guys, I can't tell you the influence playing for Coach Sanderson has had on my life. I talk to guys all the time, from Robert Ory. A lot of these guys live here in Houston now, so that's why I bring some of these names up. And we all, to a man, even though we didn't play during the same times or even at the same school, we played for the same man. And we all just give Coach all the credit for our success. The life lessons that we learned playing for him went way beyond X's and O's. So I want to thank you, Coach. Thank you, Barry. Scott's not on the phone, but Scott's your other son that I played for at Colorado. I consider myself a son, and I just thank you guys very much for all you've done, and great job on the radio show, man. I'm honored to be on today.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys. Love you guys.
Hey, you read the script perfect, Joe. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Barry. You misspelled a bunch of words, man. Work good. All right,
See you,
take
buddy.
care, guys.
Joe Steven, what a great guy Joe is there. Wow, terrific interview. That's Joe Steven. Joe played basketball for us. I recruited him over to Little Rock when I was there. Dad came in and coached him.